Ken Whiting here once again with another in-depth, unbiased gear review. And in this video, I am testing and reviewing, well, it's the type of kayak that I have a love-hate relationship with. This is the Hurricane Osprey 120. Now, when I say I have a love-hate relationship, I'm not talking about this boat in particular. I'm talking about sit-on-top kayaks. Let's start with the things I love about sit-on-top kayaks. I love the fact that they're so open and comfortable. You can sit cross-legged, you can stand up in a lot of them, you can move around no problem. You can even sit sideways with your legs over the side if you want. They're also very stable kayaks. Sit-on-top kayaks typically prioritize stability over performance. The other nice thing about sit-on-tops is they're great for fishing. They're great for photography, videography. They're great for anything where you want to do something besides just paddle because they're so stable and such big open platforms to work from. Now, what do I hate about sit-on-top kayaks? Well, really there's only a couple of things, and it all stems from the fact that sit-on-top kayaks are heavy. There's a lot more plastic in them. You compare one length of sit-on-top kayak with the same length of sit-inside kayak made the same way. And the sit-inside kayak is going to be probably 15 to 20% lighter. There's just less plastic in them and usually less accessories as well. On top of that, sit-on-top kayaks are a pain to carry and to move around in general because they don't have a cockpit rim where you can't just throw it on your shoulder like you can with a sit-inside kayak. You have to carry it like a suitcase from the grab handle, the handles in the middle, or you need two people, one on each end, or you have to drag the boat to the shore. Heavy, hard to get around. That's the main reason I don't like, well, actually, sorry, there's a third thing I don't love about sit-on-top kayaks. They prioritize stability over performance. I'm a guy who likes a kayak that performs well, that's fast. And so typically speaking, sit-on-top kayaks, well, they don't do it for me. But Hurricane thinks that they're gonna change my mind with the Osprey 120. And so that's what I'm here to find out. So I'm going to get this thing on the water, give it a good test paddle, but first let me tell you a bit more about it. The Osprey 120 retails for $1,500 US. It's 12 feet 2 inches long, 31.5 inches wide. It weighs 47 pounds or 21 kilos with the seat, and it has a capacity of 325 pounds or 147 kilos. It has a relaxed hull design to optimize performance and stability. It has a K9 bow pad, a gear track, foot braces, 4 molded grab handles, 2 on the side and 2 on each end. They're gasketed H-pod for storing small things, a rear tank well with bungees, and a removable elevated frame seat. Well, enough talking about this boat. It's time to test it. And so let's hit the water. Well, not exactly a blue sky day. In fact, I haven't seen one little bit of blue sky today, but still a perfect day to test the Hurricane Osprey 120. And here is what I can tell you about it. We're gonna start with portability like I always do. It's a 12-foot kayak and it weighs under 50 pounds. And that right away makes it quite portable kayak. The fact that it's a sit-on-top kayak and under 50 pounds, it's 47 pounds with the seat. You take off the seat and it's only 43 pounds. That's really nice. My pet peeve with sit-on-top kayaks is you have to expect they're gonna be pigs to move around. And they're typically at least 20 pounds heavier than this boat. In fact, many of the kayaks, other 12-foot sit-on-top kayaks are 20 pounds or much more than 20 pounds heavier than this kayak. Weight savings is big for me these days. I'm sick of lugging around a really big and heavy boat. And so I love the portability of this at 47 pounds. That being said, carrying it solo is still tricky. You can't throw it on your shoulder like you can a sit inside, and carrying it suitcase style, even at 47 pounds, you can't go that far. For me, it would be like 100 yard max, and then I'd be like, you know what? I'm just gonna get some help, or I'm gonna get a kayak cart. And so if you do get this kayak and you're paddling solo, just do yourself, if you have to carry it any distance, get a kayak cart. That being said, still, the weight savings really is a huge bonus with this thing. Now let's talk performance. You know what? Let's talk performance and stability together, because they say they designed this kayak to offer a great compromise of performance and stability. And the two don't go hand in hand. The more stable a kayak is, the wider it is, and so the less speed, the less performance it has. The narrower a kayak is, the faster it'll go, but the less stability it has. This one is 31.5 inches wide, which isn't a super wide kayak, but it's pretty darn wide. The fact that it is wide, but not crazy wide, combined with the fact that a thermoform kayak is rigid. It feels it's stiff and smooth, and it just feels like it does have great glide through the water. And the hull design of this thing, the keels on this boat really engaged. When I stopped paddling, it still tracked very well. It didn't spin out. It does paddle very well for a 12-foot sit on top kayak. Is it a speed machine? Absolutely not, but not bad at all. You know, definitely better than I was expecting for a 12-foot sit on top kayak. Stability wise, you know, it's a compromise. It isn't the most stable sit on top kayak out there, but it is really stable. I mean, honestly, unless you're getting the kayak to be like so stable that you could have a party on it, and you don't care how it paddles, then this is stable enough. Or if you're getting the kayak, you're an angler and you love to stand up and fish. Not that you can't do that in this, but there are more stable kayaks out there, but they don't paddle as well. So I believe they nailed it when it comes to a compromise of stability and performance. It does both quite well. Now, comfort. This thing has this elevated frame seat. Love it. I love frame seats. Not all frame seats are that super comfortable. This one is a very comfortable seat, so top marks for that. The other thing I liked about this seat is that it offers good lower back support when you cinch it down for paddling, but then you can just kick it off and relax and go into full lazy boy mode. One of the big problems with a lot of frame seats is they're really only designed for chilling out. They're comfortable for chilling out, but they don't add any support when you're paddling. This one does both quite well. So I really like the, you know, top marks for comfort there. One thing I will mention, comfort wise, for, you know, this boat would only be comfortable for someone up to my size. I'm 6'2", maybe someone 6'3". If you're 6'3", you'd be fine in this boat. Any longer than that, any taller than that, and you're gonna be too big for this boat. I've got the foot pegs all the way at the end. I'm pretty much maxing out the cockpit area of this boat. I've got a 34-inch inseam as well, if that helps anybody. Yeah, all in all, great comfort with this boat. Durability of it, well, it's thermoformed like any thermoformed kayak. It's designed to be used, not abused. If you're the kind of person that is going to be paddling an area that's going to be involved bouncing along a lot of rock, or you want to drag your boat around or take it on some pretty epic adventures, this is probably not the boat for you. You probably want to go with a rotomolded boat. But if you take care of it, then it's plastic, you know? So it'll scratch on rocks, it'll bang off things, but you just can't expect it to take too much. Now let's talk features. This boat has a few features, not a lot of features. Like a lot of sit on top kayaks designed for fishing have tons of features that most of them, unless you're a hardcore angler, you would never even use. But this one, very practical features. The K9 deck pad or bow pad up front is actually a pretty neat thing. I used to have a dog that I would go take paddling with all the time. I'd go fishing with him, I'd just go paddling with him, and it was great to have a kayak that had a spot for them. That pad is great not because it just makes it more comfortable for them, but it actually gives them some grip, so they're not just sliding around and scratching on the plastic. That's a good feature. I don't think there's enough space for a really big dog, but yeah, I like that feature. I like the gear track that's right here in front of the cockpit area. It's close enough. I've got the GoPro mounted here right now that it's so easy to reach the GoPro and turn it on, turn it off, do whatever I need to do, make adjustments. Great for rod holders. This is the place you'd want to basically mount anything because it's within easy reach. For the GoPro, it's not the best shot because it's a little too close, but I could add some extension arms and stuff like that and make it work. The fact that it's this close though, and it's very reachable is a great thing. But at the same time, this is a big one because I'm focusing on how close it is. If it's any closer, and a lot of boats do this, they have these mounts that are so close that when you're paddling, if you mount something there, it just gets in the way and you're hitting your paddle against it. It's just an annoyance. It's not a functional gear track. This very much is a functional spot for the gear track. So like that. Now the H-Pod, it's a nice feature to have a little hatch there to throw sunscreen and snacks, things like that in. One little pet peeve is I've got an iPhone Max, and when it's in here, it fits just perfectly, and so it's actually a pain in the butt to get it out. Would have been nice if it was just a little bit bigger, but it's got a gasket, which means it's waterproof. I wouldn't expect it to be 100% waterproof if this was covered with water, but it's definitely splash proof. It's going to keep things quite dry in there unless you really soak things. Now value. This boat costs $1,500 US, and that's not cheap. It's about $250 more than a comparable sit on top kayak that's rotomolded. Difference is, of course, the weight. I mean, you're basically paying a $200, $250 premium to drop 20% or more of the weight of the kayak, drop 20 plus pounds. You know, it might not be worth it for everybody, but that's a big deal to a lot of people. It could be a difference maker. You also get a boat that is stiffer, smoother, it's got better glide through the water, better performing. You are getting something for that premium that you pay. And for a lot of people, it more than justifies it. I mean, to get that smoothness, the only other way to get that weight savings and smoothness is to go to a composite kayak, carbon, Kevlar, or fiberglass, but you're paying significantly more than the premium you're paying for the thermoformed kayak. So who is this kayak for? Well, it's for anyone who wants a sit-on-top kayak and is willing to pay a little premium for a lighter sit-on-top kayak, and one that actually performs a little bit better than most rotomolded sit-on-top kayaks. It's not a big premium, but it's a premium that you're paying for this. But the weight savings you get is real with this thing, and it can be a real difference maker for a lot of people. This is a kayak that's designed primarily for flat water. It can handle some rough water, it can handle current, but not real rapids. I wouldn't take it into real ocean surf to play in the surf zone. Although it can handle it, that's not what it's designed for. This would be a great platform for someone who likes to paddle but also likes to fish. Someone who really wants to do more kayak fishing, because this could be a kayak fishing machine. It's stable enough and you can trick it out. You can accessorize it very easily if you want to. This really is a very versatile kayak, and I think that's all I have to say about it. I'm a big fan of this kayak. I think a lot of people will really benefit from a lightweight sit-on-top kayak. If you have experience in this kayak, then please leave a comment down below. Share your thoughts with everybody who's watching and trying to figure out, is this the right kayak for them? If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to Paddle TV if you haven't already. And otherwise, stay tuned, because I got a lot more of these gear reviews coming, along with paddling tips and lots of paddling adventures. In fact, I got a doozy coming up this week. Stay tuned for that one.